All right, so this is now your opportunity to ask questions of the panel members. You've heard what's happening from an engagement point of view, but we normally don't limit questions just to the topic of the day. I'm sure there might be some others that you've got. We should have some roving mics. We've got a question just here. We don't have roving mics. I'll hear the question directly from the floor. Thank you.
I was thinking, no, I'm not involved in the health department. We're doing this on behalf of government. So this isn't just the city wanting to engage with the industry. This is for the Queensland government, for all departments. So once we've got a bit of a plan, we've certainly been talking to their CIO. But did the CIO come to the forums from health?
No.
No, he didn't.
There was a CIO representative from education, but I don't think from health. Yeah.
But we certainly will be getting their feedback. Yes, definitely.
Okay.
My question is, with the GITC, I did a Google search this morning on GITC. It comes up with GITC version 5.01, 5.02, 5.03. I also note that Module 10 is dealing with managed services, but I understand that the government has actually settled on a cloud module, which is the new Module 10. The government, I think, needs to look at that website very carefully and the Google searches, because you don't get the latest up-to-date version. There are also broken links when you go to those certain sites. I would suggest that if you do a search on com law, for instance, it will give you the latest version, and then it'll give you all the superseded versions if you really want industry to see where they're at in the GITC. That's only a statement, sorry, suggestion. But when it comes to building relationships, I noticed that the DG said that one of their biggest problems is churn rate, or people leaving and everything. They need to actually address that issue, because you build a relationship, then the person's no longer there. There's a very poor crossover or follow-through from the government in relation to who you need next to talk to.
Okay. All right, so there's two elements to that, I think. The one regarding GITC, and I know Dallas is here, I'm sure he was listening very closely to that. And I'm sure that if there are any issues with it, that they will be addressed. I don't know, Dallas, whether you did want to actually say something?
Sorry, totally agree with the comment. That's something we are looking at as our web presence. I myself the other day had an agency that was wanting to utilise our panel arrangements and asked me where to find the information on our panels, and about 5 clicks later you find it. So that's not good enough. Appreciate we need to do some work in that space, and it's something that's on our agenda to improve, most certainly. With GITC itself, as Sue had mentioned, it's our intention to do a review of the contracting framework for ICT, and that's kicking off soon. And it's also our intention to do a co-design process with industry when we look at GITC. So we're not going to do that in isolation. We'll work with industry to do that. How we go about doing that, we need to think about it, because as Sue mentioned the industry is a large body, but we are constantly looking at ways to improve our procurement processes. And obviously we do need to lift our game in terms of communication and getting information around procurement, not only for agencies to utilise, but also for industry to use as well. So appreciate the comments.
I can address about the people thing to the best I can. I think government is a place where people take opportunities to move into other departments, to act in other roles. It's just a constant thing. Or someone might be on leave, so they might go over there for 3 months or go somewhere to do a backfill. And a really good example of that is David O'Hagan, who many of you would know is the CIO of Education, and he's been acting in their corporate services role for quite some time now. So I don't know, I don't think we can solve it, but what we can do is try and improve their handover, which is what I'm hearing. And one of the things we've tried to do, and I think it's extremely hard to do it in a sense, but to try and keep an up-to-date directory or something of IT people in government, I think that might help a bit, because I know that I feel so sad for people who come to see me and they've been given the runaround, so they've gone to see someone and that's the wrong person, they've gone to see someone else and they've now left and they come to see me, and in fact they need to see someone in another department, and it's just heartbreaking for them. So, but ideas on how we might improve that, I don't think I can stop the churn. I think that's pretty normal. Is any comment from you, Mark, on that?
Yeah, I agree with you, Sue. I don't think you can stop the churn. It's just the way life is, right? People move on, change jobs, but openness of structure, roles, contact details, that's the sort of thing that we do mention from time to time as an industry group. As long as there's a way of actually tracking down who's who, then it does help ease that problem. It's when there's brick walls in trying to find out how to find out who's who and what people are doing in terms of roles and what their contact details are. That's where it becomes much more of a more difficult problem.
So maybe that might be part of our communication strategy, that we do regular updates on people movements. Yeah, okay. Good comment. I couldn't quite see the gentleman, but thank you for both those comments.
Next question. Over here.
Hi. Being an ex-government employee who's now on the other side of the fence, appreciate the initiative around engagement. Have you looked internally to get feedback from your own staff due to some frustrations that come from internal staff as well regards to engagement? I know when I was engaged with Queensland Government, I had to find ways and means of getting around the process to engage with industry, and now obviously being on the other side of the fence, there's increasing frustrations around that as well. So have you done a similar survey internally?
We did have it open to a number of people in Queensland Government, and certainly the CIOs. In terms of going further down, no. But I think if we, depending on the feedback we get, we can go back into government and ask. We would certainly see part of the co-design, well, not the co-design perhaps of the strategy, but how we implement it. That would be when I think we could go back inside the organisation. I don't have a problem with doing it, and I know within our department, certainly the various ICT parts have been talking about this.
I just know that from feedback with people that I engage with, they're just as frustrated as we are, but they've obviously got to follow your legislation, so.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Well, I might add, it's probably not Sue's legislation. She has to follow it as well.
I do, yeah.
Okay, there was a question here. A couple at front.
I wish, yeah.
G'day, it's John from Simeon. Thanks very much for the presentation today. I think it was very informative. Just a question about commercialisation of government IP. Most of the commercialisation seems to be more around, agricultural, mining, those sorts of things. What's the attitude towards commercialisation of government application software?
Oh, gee, I'm not sure how to answer that question. I don't really know how to answer that. We actually have a commercialisation unit, and I'm inclined to hand over to Lee, whose team runs commercialisation in government. Lee, are you okay to address that? And if any of the other guys would want to address it, Lee Roach is head of our strategic policy innovation team for the city and for government, so drives innovation across government, and commercialisation fits within her portfolio.
There is a government policy around commercialisation of IP across the board, and it is very supportive of IP being commercialised, and that covers off not only in the ag area, but it can also cover off in terms of IT. Recently, last year, 2014, a small panel was established to actually support agencies in the commercialisation of their IP. So we're keen to get uptake where that's concerned, and we are actually promoting it very actively, the availability of that panel, and to encourage agencies to put the IP out there and have it commercialised rather than just holding on to it. But it is scheduled for a further review around that in the second quarter of this year.
Anyone else want to have a go at that question? Mike Stootman.
Also, the default clauses under GITC are no longer government owned, but are actually shared. So, as long as there's something, as long as the government doesn't specifically need that IP, they'll be shared between yourselves. So both the government and the actual software development organisation can actually then go out and develop that and use it.
Okay. Other questions? There's one here at the front.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. It's more of a suggestion, actually. It's around liabilities and insurances. Every tender comes out with different levels of liability, different insurance levels. Obviously, different projects have different risks. Could you look at maybe categorising projects or tenders into Category 1, Category 2, Category 3, and have appropriate assurances for each of those, so it's standardised across all departments and all insurances? It's just a suggestion and a question as to whether it's being looked at.
Yeah.
I think
Dallas is
Dallas will have
smiling.
a go at that.
Thanks for the suggestion. That's something we'll pick up as part of the GITC review. So if you want to leave your details, we'll talk to you about that. So yes, thanks. That's the sort of things we're going to look at.
Yeah, that sounds a really good idea.
Yep. Other questions?
There is
There's a
risk
question
ratings
here.
done already, isn't there, on projects, and so you may be able to leverage off the existing risk ratings from an assurance point of view. That's a good suggestion. Yeah.
There you go. Just a quick question. It sounds like clearly communication seems to be quite a large problem. It seems to me that, from my perspective, that if you're getting people and they're obviously communicating to the wrong people, there needs to be one point of reference that people go to, and also have like an online organisational chart that is frequently updated, and that would certainly save a lot of hassle.
Yep.
Yeah.
Agree. That sounds like something we could do that would help straight away.
Yep. Other questions? There aren't other questions. I'm going to... there is a question here. And then we might see whether...
Yeah, I'm Dwight Walker. I live in Caboolture. The first really useful contact I've made with the government has been through Metro North Health Service. These things you come to and they sort of go off in the gods. You need to push down further to local type of departments or bodies, because you can't reach these upper gods. And I used to deal with a lot of professional societies. You have one point of contact, so you've got to have like one email address, one. And then they farm it out, because you can't fight as a little guy with all that department. Do you understand that?
Yeah, I do.
Because we can't go through your 10 different staff changes. It's a waste of time. We used to go through a secretary every year when they had an AGM, but the same secretary position. Standardise the position. Is that possible? So you don't have to fight this system? Because I hear a lot of anger here. It's like, you guys want us to help you, but you keep stuffing around. So, you've got to find one person.
One person.
Who's going to do the job. Like, could be some front desk person, but he has to do it and have that responsibility. Can you commit to that?
So what would that do? Be the link in between yourself and government? Is that what you mean? Trying to understand.
There was I brought up last time metadata, YUMs and the State Library here.
Yes.
Could get that person, they could be the people that connect them to the rest of all the government. I'm a librarian. The State Library has the skills, people skills.
Yeah.
A lot of departments have a very up in the gods type of attitude.
Yes.
A librarian has to talk to everyday person. And if they can manage that sort of problem of mashing someone here to someone there, that's possible through the library's website.
Yeah.
I can't understand why departments still have this us and them stuff. I don't know.
Okay.
So yeah, the health department, Metro North, had a director, Alexander, a doctor, talk to you like a normal person.
Yeah, okay.
And you can meet him. Whereas these things, you go away, you never hear from you again. You never send the email through, and it's always frustrating.
Yeah.
So, follow through. That's what I'm getting at. Okay.
I mean, there might. I'm just trying to, as I understand the issue. I've just been doing a project for the financial industry, and about the evolution of customer service within banking institutions, and some of the things that are very much appreciated, because that can be a complex little world as well. Knowing where to go is people would use the example of in banks now the concierge service, the idea of a single point of contact who you, I guess, communicate your issue or your need, and then they, being the point of knowing all, I guess, then point you in the right direction. So I'm thinking maybe that's roughly the idea.
A government concierge, because
I like it.
it's like a traffic cop, basically, because you get so much. I used to work in federal government, and the staff would change every 3 months, and you'd have someone in that, and whoever was in that desk did the job. So you don't have this follow the person, you follow where the person came from. So they're in trade and transport. Whoever the next person is, forget who he was, the job is the place. Then you keep consistency with the job requirements rather than whoever the guy is moved to and lost track, you know.
Nice.
That's how federal government does it. You have the position, not whoever the guy's name is. Okay.
Understand.
So if you have consistency, that makes huge amount of improvement, because then you get to the right person. It's just, that's what has to be resolved there, because I feel like there's 10 different departments. Say, you didn't know about health today, I can believe that.
Yeah.
That's the biggest department in all of them. So there's got to be some consistency, one concierge idea thing.
Yes.
And then farm it to the right section through the library's structure or something. I don't know what you're going to do, but something like that.
It's a good idea. We can look at it.
Yes.
Sure.
Right.
I think there's a theme there. There's a consistent message that we've got loud and clear about churn and contacts and how we actually make sure that we can improve that. Look, while we're having a little bit of a break, I'll see whether that we can actually put up information on those poll questions. We do.
Oh, we do.
So it's coffee. Coffee is the winner. Very good.
Something else.
Something else is. So the mind boggles what something else is, but
Be those green juice things.
okay. We might then move on to the next question. Access to key people. So that was exactly what's come from the floor as well, as being the number one issue. And all of these is the next highest.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, great.
Okay, so there's support for the actions, the improvement ideas.
It's hurt your neck doing
Very
this.
clear. And everybody learnt something today, or most people learnt something today about what is actually happening. I think that's good.
We need a screen in front of us next time, sir.
Yeah.
And we've got
That's great.
well, there's one person who does not want to be further involved in the process, but we've got 26 that do. So I'm going to look at the 27 now that do. So I'm going to look at that as being the positive side. Okay. Still moving. We must have just put that question's still going. That's, no more no's, I see. That's good. All right. Hang on. We'll shut that down now. Close it. All right. Okay, well, that question is obviously still going, but I think we got the message from that. Thank you very much for all of you who participated in that. Are there any further questions before we finish up today? No? All right. Well, look, can you please join me in thanking our presenters today, Sue and Mark and Adam. Thank you very much. I'd like to also remind you to like the Digital Economy Queensland Facebook and Twitter pages and encourage you to provide, well, you've provided your feedback here today. Now, you noticed that Sue had indicated some next steps, so we would really like you to participate in providing further information. Now that you've had a taste of what we're looking at doing, we would really love your ideas beyond this point. If you can contact Tracy Bradford for any future inquiries you have about PIT briefings. I'd like to thank the team that were involved in putting the session together today. As always, very professionally done. Thank you very much. Thank you all for attending. There's some refreshments outside if you want to talk with any of us further one-to-one. Thank you very much.